Hello, everyone. Tanya Milling with the Arc of Virginia. Thank you for coming to this session. We're excited to have everyone here, and we want to thank Jenny Sharp for being here to present on the compliance with the DOJ settlement agreement. And she is going to provide information on the DOJ library and where you can go to find information about how we are meeting the settlement agreement. And Jenny, I'm going to hand it over to you and let our attendees know she is joining us by phone or by sound. You will not see Jenny, but you can start sharing your screen whenever you'd like, and you'll be able to follow along with her. This is a webinar, so attendees, your video is not showing. Please write your comments and your questions in the chat box, and Lucy Cantrell is here with us, and she will be she'll be watching for those comments and bringing them to Jenny. So I will just hand it over to you.
Okay, thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Well, thank you for joining me today. I'm Jenny Schott.
Jenny, it's a little hard to hear you. But in our practice, we could hear you perfectly. Can you get a little closer to the microphone?
Sure, how's that?
Thank you. That's
Is
better.
that better?
Yes, ma'am. Thank
Okay, great. I may have had my hand covering something. So I'm Jenny Schott. I'm the Settlement Agreement Advisor with DHDS, and I thank you for joining me today. I'm going to do a walkthrough of the DOJ Settlement Agreement Library. And just to kind of give you some background, we have a welcome section here, gives a little background about the settlement agreement. But what I really want to focus on here is the background about how the library came to be. So in May of 2019, we received a federal court order, and we have a link here to that order. And it called us to action. Judge Gidney, he wanted us to build something, the parties to work together, to build a way to share documentation. And it was very specific about that. He wanted a system where interested parties, which includes not just DOJ, DBHDS, and agencies, but the whole Commonwealth. So that means providers, families, individuals, everyone, any interested party, a place where they could go to review documents and documents on how we were doing with the settlement agreement and how we are doing with the provisions and the compliance indicators. So you'll see here, right here in the wording, this is the order itself. And you can get to it easily on the library. Like I said, it's in the very first welcome section. So the judge was pretty clear. He wanted a framework for implementing and the documentation for sustaining each decree of the provision. So that link is right here. That just gives another little summary of what I just shared with you. So with that background, I'll just start and go over. It is not a DBHDS site or a link from it. It is its own separate website through virginia.gov. The web address is very simple. It's dojsettlementagreement.virginia.gov. The title is the official site of the Commonwealth of Virginia, DOJ Settlement Agreement. So after you get to the welcome section here, the home page is the agreement in its entirety with links throughout. You have your blue highlight, which will take you to both external links and internal links within the website. So I'm just going to scroll down so you'll see, and then I'll go through more specifics, but it is the entire settlement agreement from top to bottom to the very end. While I'm on the home page, I'll also show you we have the footer links. We have DMAS, DBHDS, the VCU partnership, My Life, My Community, the Department of Education, and the Department of Aging and Rehabilitative Services. I'll scroll back up. We have links here. This just scrolls you down to where the settlement agreement language actually begins. So can everyone hear me okay? I just want to make sure that I'm still being heard. Okay. So next I want to talk about the left menu bar here. Each one of these is a section of the settlement agreement. So it just allows you to scroll easily through the different sections. Discharge planning and transition, quality and risk management, independent reviewer for each section. There is a very nice search function here as well. I'll demonstrate this for you. One of the things that I like about the way this is laid out is the search populates both web page results as well as file results, populates those separately. And as you can see, I plugged in case management, and there is a lot of information linked from and included in this website. So we'll just go, let's go to a page here. So for case management, this is an example of what our level 2 page or provision pages. They are organized by topics. So this is case management performance. So for each one of these level 2 pages, this is the basic structure of a level 2 page. And I've just gotten to this page using the search function. I'll show you the additional ways you can navigate through the site. So you'll see the provisions are here at the beginning. So these are the provisions that are applicable to case management performance. And we have this option here, you can expand and collapse. We did this because these provisions can get lengthy, and we didn't want the user to have to scroll down and miss additional information. So there is a short about, kind of just a description here. And then we get into the components of the level 2 page. These are the building blocks of how we build and actually implement the provisions. So it starts with the authorizing authority. The authorizing authority is what gives us the authority to implement. So these things are like regulations, state plans amendments, interagency agreement, a CMS approved Medicaid plan. We also have a category for delegation. So that's if DBHDS or the Commonwealth isn't doing the work specifically, we delegate it out. And for example, the CSB performance contract. There's a section for processes, protocols, and standards, guidelines, charters, and plans, instruments and tools. And then we also made sure that we included this for each page. We wanted to provide a link to the DBHDS page for case management performance or the topic for that level 2 page. So each level 2 page also has a reporting button. And when you go to hit the reporting button, you will go to the reporting page. So it has the provision language. It has a report section, and these are the these are the case management steering committee reports, 2 semi-annual. And then there's a compliance section. So if there are provisions in case management performance, for example, well, as is the case with this report page, we have provided links to the independent reviewers reports that have found those provisions in compliance. We also included the compliance indicators, those newly agreed upon. Well, they were agreed upon back in January of 2020 this year. Those are included here as well. So I will go back. I'm going to demonstrate, well, let me go to the report archives. Each page also has an archive page. So when those reports are updated and replaced with newer versions, the older reports will go on the archive page. Okay, so I'm going to take a minute and talk about these 3 buttons up at the top. We call these our hot topics. And these are really meant to just give a user-friendly feel to the website based on topics. So I'll start with the integrated settings. So when you click on this, you'll see another menu that comes up. And for integrated settings, we have the My Life, My Community website. This is a link to the website itself. And you'll see whenever you click on a link, it will open in a new tab rather than to keep you from having to go back. Just makes it easier to navigate. Go supported employment. This takes you to a level 2 page on the website. Crisis supports, it has a submenu because there are multiple level 2 pages here. And then the reach button will actually take you to the DBHDS reach page. So it's a mixture of internal pages within the website and external, all depending on where the best information is.
Jenny, this is
yes.
Trail. I think some people, they put in the chat, they're still having trouble hearing you. So someone gave the suggestion for you to sit closer to the computer and talk loudly. I'm just passing on what's in the chat. And while we're on this page right here, I wanted to remind everybody that the DOJ settlement agreement and all this information applies to people who already have a DD waiver, or if you were on the DD waiver wait list, this applies to you also. And so, for example, many people are familiar with the individual and family supports. Whoops, I might be making a mistake. That's the individual and family supports waiver or the program for people who are on the waiver wait list.
It is the program.
Okay.
It's the program. Yes.
Okay. So if you're,
is that better? I have moved my laptop right in front of me, so hopefully that will help.
oh, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Sometimes I get to talking and moving, and that may be my problem. I have to be more conscious about being still.
Yeah. Yes. So
Are there any other questions? And Lucy, did I answer your question?
yeah, you did. And maybe if we can, I just want to make sure that people know what's here for them. So for example, if you're on the DD waiver wait list, and many people are, and they know about the IFSP program, that's where you can apply for funding up to once a year. So that link there would have information about the IFSP program.
Yes, it does. And I clicked on it, and that takes you to the level 2 page for individual and family support. And there is a lot of information on this page. And then if that isn't enough, you click here, and it will take you to the IFSP homepage on the DBHDS site.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let me go back and just to let everybody know, the one thing that isn't very obvious about the website or very intuitive is this is a home button. The Virginia seal will take you home. Okay, let's look at this a little bit more to try and, so where I clicked on this is a level 2 page. Like I said, it's what we call it. It's just let me give you an example. So if you're in the settlement agreement itself, we do have external links to things that we felt were, really important things and good educational information. We have a link to the Americans with Disabilities Act, as well as the Olmstead and CRIPA. We have links to different definitions within the settlement agreement. Let's actually go down to where provisions where we're monitored. So for example, we'll go with creating waiver slots. You have the provision language. This is one of those, as you can see, why we really needed to collapse it, because it's so much information. You see all these, the authorizing authority, process protocols and standards, and then for more information on your reporting page, there is the waiver slot creation chart. Here's a report. This is how we report out on this to the independent reviewer. So there's lots of reports in here for your information. And this is one of our provisions where we are in compliance. So there are 2 of the independent reviewer reports posted. So I want to show you here, we have, this is what they call breadcrumbs. You can use this just to go back to your page. And then I really like it when you go back to the home page, because it will take you right to the same provision that you were viewing.
Jenny, this is Lucy again. I know we have several people who are like really new to the system. So if you could maybe in a few words just explain what the settlement agreement was, why we have it, so people understand what you mean when you're saying settlement agreement.
Sure, sure. So that's really why we use this welcome here to kind of introduce it. So back in January 2012, the settlement agreement was reached, and it was based on the U.S. Department of Justice findings, where they found that the Commonwealth failed to provide services to individuals with intellectual disabilities in the most integrated settings to meet their needs. So they had gone in and done studies at the Virginia training centers and came to this determination. So a settlement agreement was reached. to giving the Commonwealth a period of time to come into compliance. So that's how the settlement agreement came to be. And this is that settlement agreement. So a lot of it, like for example, the introduction and the definitions, just as like the background and the building block, where you start to get into the provisions that the independent reviewer, who is Donald Fletcher, where he begins studying provisions, comes in sections 3, serving individuals with developmental disabilities in the most integrated setting. Section 4, discharge planning and transition from the training center, which is by and large in compliance. We only have 2 provisions within this section that are non-compliant, and those provisions have to do with individuals who move from the training centers to the community, having employment and integrated day opportunities. But I am happy to report that we are 93% in compliance with Section 4. But I will say the independent reviewer does continue to monitor those provisions. So we're not only judged by when we come into compliance, but we're also evaluated by how we maintain that compliance. And that is the building block of this, or the purpose of this library and this website, is a way to monitor that we're continuing compliance. So then we have the quality and risk management section. That's section 5. Those are the 3 large sections that have provisions that are monitored by the independent reviewer. So that being said, I'm going to go to 5A and B, the quality management system. We have the new quality management plan available for you, as well as the, this is a new departmental instruction. So this is our authorizing authority for our quality management system. Okay. All right.
Jenny, this is Lucy. I'm sorry
Yes.
to interject again, but I think you nailed it on the head when you said when you turn your head, that affects how well people can hear you. So we're still getting some comments that sometimes people can't hear you. And I think it's when you turn your head.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I will try not to do that.
Okay, thank you.
I'm doing my best. I have it like 5 inches from my face, so.
I understand. We're with you. We're forgiving.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I'm going to go back up here now that I've kind of shown you how you navigate through the different web pages. Let's do some exploration here. So I'll go to the behavioral supports page. Let's give you a few more examples of how these work. All the information that's in here. Go to the reporting section. And you have the various reports. And compliance indicators. Okay. There's also an archive page for the level 2 for the process protocols and authority. I'm going to go to the providers menu. I'll walk through the provider training page, which is 5H1. This is about direct support professional competencies. To give you some background here. As you can see, there's a lot of information here. Lucy, do you have any questions that you want to share with me, or is there anything that any of the listeners are particularly interested in seeing?
We'll ask people to chat in any questions they have, or like Jenny just offered, if there's anything in particular you want to see. Jenny, there's some questions and comments about how Virginia is held accountable for actual services and supports being provided. Would you like to take a shot at that? Maybe you mentioned the independent reviewer, and then maybe say who the independent reviewer reports to, and what's going to happen in the next year. How is Virginia going to be held accountable?
Right. Well, those are good questions. Well, the independent reviewer, he conducts 2 studies each year, and those study reports are posted on the DBHDS website. They come out in mid-June and mid-December. So through that process of the independent reviewer, he does the studies. We supply him with the evidence. He has a document request. He makes his determinations. If he does not find us in compliance, then we are non-compliant with that provision. The independent reviewer submits those reports to the court. So they're filed in the court. And then the Department of Justice also uses that information. So really, that is how we're determined whether we're compliant or not compliant, is through the independent reviewer's findings.
Okay, and then there's a question, what happens if Virginia is not in full compliance with the settlement agreement?
Well, that would be for the judge to determine. So yes, that would definitely be a risk for us having the ability to exit in a timely manner. So yes, that would be for the judge to determine and continue the agreement.
Okay, and what is the time for the agreement to end as it's scheduled at this point?
June of 2021. Yes, we are approaching the date. So in January, the Department of Justice will need to make some determinations and file with the court where they believe we stand, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
We are working, I will say, we are working feverishly and doing the best we can to put all the building blocks and all the reporting systems in place so we can meet the compliance indicators.
There's a question about how many committees have been formed to work on gaining compliance. I almost have to giggle at that one because there's been a lot of committees, but specifically committees that include a variety of stakeholders. So maybe if you can speak to stakeholder involvement.
Sure. There's a DOJ settlement agreement stakeholder group that meets quarterly. We did meet more often after the compliance indicators were agreed upon. There is the Quality Improvement Committee. There are their regional quality councils. There's the VACSB. There have been quite a few work groups and committees formed, but those are the, as far as for the DBHDS and the quality management system, I've tried to include a few of those as well. There's also the quality review team, which is made up of DMAS and DBHDS. That's also built into the overall quality management system. Some of the internal committees are the Case Management Steering Committee, the Risk Management Review Committee, and the Mortality Review Committee. So there's a lot of quality committees. There's also the Key Performance Area Committees, the KPA work groups. There's a lot.
Okay, and I'll say from the Arc of Virginia's standpoint, yes, there have been many, many committees. There has been stakeholder involvement, and Kate Olson, our self-advocacy coordinator here at the Arc of Virginia, has been on many of these committees. I mean, this has been going on for 10 years. Jenny, is there a certain way through the department where there's information available so that people can know when there are committee meetings or opportunities for stakeholder input?
That is some very good feedback. I don't know that I know that there's the Commonwealth calendar, but to have something that's really kind of more, like for example, when the QIC meets, I mean, those are, I don't believe there's a common calendar. I'll have to check on that. I know that there's work and some focus on, communication and training. So that is some good feedback to take back. I can check on that.
Okay, thank you. And the Arc of Virginia would be glad to put that information out. Sometimes we do put up the stakeholder meetings. And I guess since many of these are being held virtually now, there's even a greater opportunity for people to be involved and to participate in the committees. So thank you for taking that back and seeing if there's a real streamlined way for people to have access to that. One person has asked if there's an option to directly contact the independent reviewer with concerns.
Yes, his contact information will be on the website.
Can you say that again? Can you say that again?
Yes, just to let you know, the independent reviewer's contact information will be on the website.
Okay. And if anyone has trouble finding that, you can always contact your local ARC or contact the Arc of Virginia. Did you have other information that you wanted to hit? Because we do have some other questions.
Oh, you can start with that. I have found it's easier to do this and to kind of walk through it rather than me kind of guide them to places they may not be interested in seeing.
Okay.
So yes, let's tackle some questions.
Okay, I've been chatting through a lot of the questions. That's where they're coming from. Is there a plan to show the public an easy way about how trends are working, for instance, on how many people have independent housing with supports, or whether there are less people with DD going into psychiatric hospitals over time?
Yes, there is a plan to have a report, but we'll be reporting on the compliance indicators, which will include that information. But yes, there is a plan moving forward to have an easier way to see that information in one place and to see the trend data.
Okay, wonderful.
Yes.
This goes back to the discussion we had just a few minutes ago about stakeholder input and participation on the committees. There is a request as to whether the minutes for those committee meetings could be posted where the public could see them.
Right, there has been discussion on that. Some of those committee meetings, for example, like the MRC committee and the risk management committee, we just have to look at it carefully because some of it does have protected health information. So we've cautioned from posting minutes externally, but I can definitely take that back because I know there's been discussion about it, particularly some of those higher, like the quality improvement committee.
Yeah.
Those higher, the higher level committees.
Yeah. So in case you hear.
Was there any particular committee, and was that directed to any specific committee?
No, I think it was a general question about all
Okay.
of the committees, and I'm not sure if everybody heard you come through on that, but Jenny said there are some committees where there is HIPAA information, so where, of course, where specific individuals or something that should not be open to the public, of course, those committee type meetings are not going to be published or available, but there are many committees that meet that are public. The stakeholder group meeting is public. So I think you can get a lot of information from many of those meetings.
Right.
If minutes are posted.
Yeah, the stakeholder presentations are posted on the DBHDS website.
Okay,
Yeah,
I lost you again. Can you say that again?
Yes, so the DBHDS website, there's a DOJ settlement agreement page that does have the stakeholder presentations, but it does not have minutes posted. But I don't see any reason we couldn't just post those. So, and that's more directly related to committees I'm involved in or facilitate.
Okay. Good. Your audio is going out a little bit, so I know it may be hard for some people to hear.
I'm so sorry about that. My internet is not the greatest either.
Okay. Yeah.
So I guess let's do you have more questions?
I'll interject for just 1 second. Where you are right now is coming through good, Jenny. So I don't know if you have two screens or sometimes when we use more than one screen, it messes my computer up. So I'll just say 1 moment ago, the last thing you said came through good. So that might be that you're close. And I know how hard it is when you're trying to figure out where your microphone is picking up. Anyway, wherever you were sitting a second ago or holding your head, it was just perfect.
Okay, how's that? Is that good?
We do hear you right where you are now, yes.
Okay, I'm thinking it's more the internet.
Oh, see, but then the minute I say that, it it faded back away. Um,
How's that?
I hear you.
Did it fade?
Only when you said, "Did it fade?" Um,
Yeah, I think it's the internet because I'm in the
okay,
exact same spot.
got you. Okay, okay. Well,
Okay.
we're making it work then. Thank you, and
Yeah,
everybody
I
else.
apologize. I live in a very rural area.
That is okay. You can't help that. That is all right. Thank you, though.
So I've more questions, or should I go through these hot topic menus here?
Well, let's look at some hot topics.
Okay. So here is the provider section for the hot topics. And we just tried to get a good sampling of different things providers may be interested in. It does have a link to the provider. This is a DBHDS report, the provider data summary, semi-annual report. Training and competency requirements. So I've been to that page. We went to the case management performance page. There's a human rights investigations page. There's a supervisory support. We'll click on that one. This is related to 5H2 in this settlement agreement, having to do with supervisors as the support for direct support professionals and staff. This is kind of some new development and some new materials. So the reporting page. It has compliance indicators. So when I say compliance indicators, here are those measurable actions that the Commonwealth must take in order to meet this provision. So I just want to focus on here. These are the things that we must do. That these are the items that the parties came to agreement on after about a year of negotiating, and filed these in January. Okay, let's go back. Go to quality and risk management. We have our risk management training page. I will say that just a caution to everyone, the new licensing regulations are effective August 1st. We're very pleased with that outcome. And so these authorizing authorities, that would be our regulations. This will be updated now. These were the previous regs. So we have our new risk awareness tool is posted here, as well as the risk awareness tool instruction and resources. So Lucy, I know you mentioned in the beginning, you talked about, you know, as far as how this being applicable to those that do not already have a waiver or are on the waiting list. So a lot of these things that we put in here in the quality and management system, a lot of the trainings, for example, the health and safety alerts, the risk awareness tool, and all this information here is good for really everyone. It's just good information. It would be good for families that are doing the self-directed, for having these tools just to give them more information. So it's not just for, you know, for those with the waiver.
Good to know. Thank you.
Yes.
One of the questions that has come up, Jenny, that we hear frequently from people, and these are people who have a DD waiver. They need a specific service, and if they don't, and let's say that service gets authorized on their individual services plan, but they never actually receive the service. And that could be for a variety of reasons. But for example, the service is just not available in the area that they live in. And it's a service where there needs to be maybe face-to-face contact, or they need supported employment. So if a person doesn't get that service that was on their services plan, does that information get captured anywhere?
So if they don't, so that is part of the quality service review. So that would be, there we have multiple different quality, external quality monitoring systems in place now that would catch that. For example, the support coordinator quality reviews that began last year and the first year is wrapping up now. And now our quality, the DBHTS quality improvement staff, are doing a look behind review of now, a retrospective review. Those two, the quality service reviews and that support coordinator quality review, would capture that.
Okay, and that information would be available to the public at some time?
Exactly. Yes. In fact, I will show you. Let's go to case management. Let's go to case management system, and I will go to the compliance indicators. Here are the compliance indicators for case management, and it is so here you have the ISP includes the necessary services and supports. So here's where you said, you know, I see it's identified in the ISP. Now, is it actually occurring? There is a connection piece in here as well that we included. So I can tell you, I've seen those tools, been in the development of those tools, and it is important that it's not only identified in the ISP, but the services actually delivered. Okay. So we will be monitoring that, and that is something that you will, for example, in the upcoming, here would be the report, the Case Management Steering Committee reports, for report on that. And then that is for the support coordinator quality review. For the quality service reviews, let's see. Now these are just getting underway. Our new vendor, DBHDS does have a new vendor, HSAG, and those reviews are getting underway in August, this month actually. So that will be the reporting system on that.
Okay, and we have a person that's probably somewhat knowledgeable about the DOJ settlement agreement who chatted in. There's a specific measure about behavioral services and nursing services in the ISP, and the gap between what's in the ISP and what they are actually getting. So if that's being measured, that's great. And the more that can be measured, I think that will really help our system to know what services are needed where and where all the gaps are. So thank you for that information, Smithy.
Yes, and it is, they are in the compliance indicators. There are specific metrics, and I think maybe the one that she's referring to is the one related to nursing services and the capacity, nursing capacity.
Okay. So a question that I have, this library looks really great, and it seems to be packed with so much information. So if I'm looking for a specific topic, let's say I want to learn more about, and we'll just use supported employment. If I go to the DBHDS website, am I going to be looking at this site for the DOJ settlement agreement, or am I going to be looking at the DBHDS website? Where do I go to get the most current information?
I would say always go to the DBHDS website for the most current information, because that's where, you know, your directors are going to be posting their information first.
Okay, so that was a little hard for me to hear, but I think you said always go to the DBHDS website first because that's where the most current information will be posted. Did I get
Right, for things that are, for example, supported employment. Something that, is DBHDS supported. Now, if you want to get information about the DOJ settlement agreement and how it applies, how it supported employment applies to that, then you can use a settlement agreement site. But for example, if you're a provider and you need something for, some licensing information and you need the most up to date, then definitely go to DBHDS site.
Okay, so the example you just gave was if you're a provider and you need licensing information, and you want the most current, you're gonna go to the DBHDS website. Okay.
Correct. Now, this is definitely in no way meant to replace the DBHDS site or the information that's included on the site.
Okay. And then just so people also know, the My Life, My Community website is also a good resource for families, say if you want to find a provider for supported employment. That was a comment that was put in. Thank you. And Jenny, is this website, I'm sorry, I should know this, is this website up and available now to the public?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great.
DOJ settlement agreement.virginia.gov.
And I put the link in the chat box earlier when we first came on.
Thank you, Tanya.
Good. Okay, so we have lots of interest in this. If you have any other questions, please put them in now, or any comments, because this is going to be an important tool for all of us going forward, as well as the other websites that DBHDS has. And Jenny, it was really great to hear that there's so much information on here that's helpful to someone who is not receiving services, maybe on the wait list, maybe not on the wait list yet.
Okay. And it does impact those, there are compliance indicators that go beyond just, those that have a waiver. So it's not just about those that have the waiver.
Okay.
So I found a metric here, some examples in the compliance indicators. I have that up on the screen to kind of give you a little bit more concrete examples of this capacity question that you, for example, 86% of individuals who are receiving waiver services and have employment services authorized in their ISP will have a provider and begin services within 60 days. So this is a compliance indicator. This is one of those measures that, it says this is, we get a go or we get a no. So that's one of those things that kind of drills down to what that question involved, as far as it's not just about it being in the ISP. It's about, it's real life. You can't find a provider. There's no one around you. It's just not there. I understand. I worked in the community. I was a special education teacher. I did supported employment job coaching, and I was a direct support professional. So I know how difficult it can be to make those connections and get what you need when you need it. I hope you heard that.
Somewhat.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
But I want to give a shout out for you that's on the chat. I don't know if you've seen it. And this is from DOJ again. A big thanks to Jenny for all of her work on this. Smitty says it was an incredible lift. It is an incredible lift. and great example on employment services.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not done yet. There's more to be developed for reporting. So, get in there I certainly welcome any feedback on the website. And I thank everyone again for allowing me to share it with you today.
So Jenny just offered to take any feedback. She welcomes that. If you have any difficulty getting Jenny's email address or how to contact her, please let me know, info@thearcofva.org, or call the Arc of Virginia, and we'll make sure you know how to get in touch with her. So I don't see any other comments or questions at this point. Jenny, thank you so much for working under these difficult conditions that all of us have to navigate now. And when you're in a rural area, I know that can be a little bit extra dicey. So thank you for putting this information together. Thank you for being with us. And thank you for making yourself available if other people have feedback or information that they need. So I think we'll wrap it up here. One new message. I think we're good. So thank you so much, and thanks to all of us, everyone who's in this session.
Thank you, Lucy. I appreciate it. Thank you, Tanya. Everyone have a lovely
Welcome.
afternoon.
Thank you. And we'll see all of you at the next session. Thank you.